Do you have decorative or design patches lying around? Want to get them incorporated in your everyday wardrobe? Let me show you how it's done in today's episode of Sewing Saturday. As a sewing beginner, we sometimes get confused with so many tips and tutorials online. And I'm glad to introduce you to our newest sewing video series featuring the easiest tips and tricks that I wish I learned when I started sewing. It's Julius again from Sew It's Your Style, and welcome to Sewing Saturday, where we teach you how to become a better sewer. From tips and tricks, all the way to making your very first project. Join us today as we explore the basics of sewing. Welcome to another episode of Sewing Saturday. It's Julius here with you, and today is all about applique sewing. So you might be wondering, what is an applique? Applique are fabric patches containing designs or embellishments that are usually sewn on a foundation fabric. And this sewing technique dates all the way back to the ancient times. And this has been proven when appliqué pieces of leather were found in Egypt. This technique refers to a needlework in which patterns or representational scenes are created by attachment of smaller pieces of fabric to a larger piece of contrasting color or texture. The word appliqué is derived from the Latin word applico, which means to apply. You may be asking, why go all this trouble when you can directly embroider from your sewing machine? Good question, my dear friend. This is helpful when a sewer is having a hard time looking for an actual design to be embroidered, or when mass-producing clothes, as sewing an applique is easier to do than embroidering one. So all patches of various designs and styles are technically called appliqués. Though the Brother NV180 is capable of embroidering design patches, today I'm going to be showing you how easy it is to sew in an applique onto a fabric or a garment. So these are examples of applique. They're ready-made, which means all you need to do is apply them to a garment of your choice. They come either as a sew-in applique or a fusible applique, in which an iron is used to activate the glue for the applique piece to adhere to the fabric. Another great example of using applique is in quilting, wherein quilt blocks are constructed both with a patchwork and applique. One classic example is the Dresden plate. This consists of individual wedges that form a circle and are sewn onto the fabric using the applique technique. So to demonstrate how to use the Brother NV180 in applique sewing, I'll be working with this piece of applique that will be sewn onto this fabric or this garment. To sew this, you can select two kinds of stitches. A straight stitch, which is the common stitch in sewing geometrical appliques, or the zigzag or satin stitch, which is usually used for irregularly shaped appliques. The appliques are sewn around the edges to secure it in place. To start, mark the placement of the applique onto the garment. Then glue or baste the applique on the marked placement. One important note when using glue: if glue is to be used to hold the applique in place on the fabric, it is highly important to remember not to apply glue to areas that will be sewn, as it can damage the needle or bobbin case. So only apply glue at the back in the center of the applique piece. Next is to attach the zigzag foot or the presser foot J. Then select a stitch to be used. I will be using small zigzag stitches for this project. To achieve small zigzag stitches, it is necessary to shorten the width and the length of the stitch. Depending on the size of the applique, adjust the width and the length of the zigzag stitch on the machine. Stitching can be started at any point or side on the applique. Place the garment with the applique to be sewn onto the machine. Position the edge of the applique underneath the needle. Then turn the hand wheel towards you to drop the needle. Ensure that the needle drops both inside and outside of the applique edge. Start sewing slowly following the outline of the applique. When sewing around corners, stop the machine with the needle in the fabric just outside of the applique. Raise the presser foot lever and then turn the fabric as needed to change the sewing direction. Do this until the entire applique is sewn onto the fabric. So this is one of my small projects wherein I have sewn this cute little patch onto this fabric, which is ideally going to be a small bag. There are many uses of applique sewing. They can be used in quilting, banner making, or in couture sewing when pieces of lace are sewn together. This sewing technique is made easier, of course, with our featured sewing machine today, the Brother NV180, the Computerized Embroidery, Sewing, and Quilting Machine. This technique is also a great idea and can be really useful to you, especially if you have patches lying around your house and you want to make use of them, as they can be used for customized gifts such as t-shirts, sweatshirts, and other stuff that you can give to your family and your friends. I hope you enjoyed today's simple sewing application, and I will see you again in the next episode of Sewing Saturday.